Hello. How about one for the men today? We've got a vintage lingerie card to show you. It's really quite sexy, I think. So to introduce the dies that I'll be showing you today, we've got the California collection, and this is the basic frame set A. We're going to be doing some matting and layering with that one. We've got the decorative frame, which I think is absolutely beautiful when you use it around a stamped image. And then we're going to just be using the outside cutting edge on the Hollywood collection. And the flowers are the faux quilled blooms, and they just make a really pretty accent in the corners for today's card. So I've done a little bit ahead of time for you. Matting and layering, I've got some background paper that I've chosen. I've stamped a sentiment that comes from the Vintage Lingerie stamp set by Creative Expressions. A couple little corners I've added, and as you can see, I've turned over the corner, revealing the back of the decorative paper. Now I've used a glue dot on mine and it holds it pretty well, but I usually say to add a little bit of glue just to make sure it's good and secure, okay? So what I'm going to do first is do some cutting and some stamping. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've stamped the Vintage Lingerie in a potting soil archival ink, and I'm doing a little bit of watermarking around it. And I've done a few, but I'll add a few more here, using a clear perfect medium. And this is one of the stamps from the Vintage Lingerie collection. It's kind of like a little peacock feather, but it's stylized. So I'm just going to add a few more of these around the edge to give that lovely watermarked look to it. And they stamp rather light, but they kind of sink into the cardstock, so they'll grow a little bit more in color. That'll work. Set that aside. Now I'm going to use the decorative frame from the California collection, and this is not the largest one, it's the next size down, and I think it works perfectly with this size of stamped image. I'm just going to center that over my lingerie right there, tape that into place, and I've done all the other cutting we need, but we'll do this one. Pop that through our grand caliber, and then I'll show you some nice little tips for matting and layering too. And this one is really pretty when you emboss it, so I definitely want to put that through the emboss stage. Let me take the extra bit off there. Put my tan mat over, make sure that card is seated into the die well. And we're going to run it through to put a pretty emboss on it. Okay, now just to give it kind of a vintage look, I'm going to use some antique linen distress ink on it. You can see the watermark coming through, but having the antique linen will bring out the edge of the embossing a little bit more. So using some cut and dry foam, I'm just going to go around the edge, and it's very, very subtle. But it's pretty, it's quite a bit. It adds just a little bit of added extra interest. And sometimes it's those, you know, those little touches that make the difference on your card, I think. Let me show you what it looks like. And I'll pop out these little pieces so you can see the finished one. So pretty. Let me show you. So you can see you've got your lingerie there. You can see the watermark coming through as well as the antique linen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a blue colored pencil and go around the edge of this, creating a shadow. Don't have to be particularly neat because we're going to cover this up, and all you'll be able to see is the edge of that blue peeking out. I like this technique. I think it's really pretty to add some shadow when you're raising images up. It does give a little bit more dimension to your card. Like this. There we go. Now I've cut out one ahead of time. I've stamped it, cut it out. I've added a little white pencil. So I'm just going to show you on this one what I did. Just by taking a little bit of a colored pencil and lightly bringing it in, you can add shading and added interest to your stamped image without spending a lot of time coloring, because sometimes we don't have a lot of time when we do our card making. I added a little bit of white extra to the laces to make them pop out. And I think you can see how simple and quick and easy that is. Just like that. And then we'll put this one above it in exactly the same spot with some mounting foam. You can see how pretty this is. So you've got a little bit of your watermark showing, so it kind of really gives it that vintage feel to it. So let me just cut a piece of mounting foam, and we'll put that on the back. And I want to show you something else. One of the things I love about my new collection is I've always had to cut what I call a faux matte layer, using the die and tracing around the outside and trimming it. Well, sometimes the dies are just really detailed and hard to do that with, or you're just maybe not very good at cutting. So I wanted a die that matted and layered perfectly with just a tiny little edge coming out. And I am so happy with these because that's exactly what I wanted. If your budget doesn't extend to having both sets, you've got a cutting edge you can still do your faux nesty with. But if you can, you've got the extra added dimension between those. So let me layer these up. And I'll show you again how pretty that looks all in one piece like that. I'm just so pleased with these. And then we're going to take our card back here, and let's just put it together and add our flowers. Oh, I'll tell you what, you've caught me. I have a little tip to show you. Sometimes when you don't have enough of the cardstock, you can take and cut it out of one of your matte layers. A little bit of cheat I do every once in a while. Saves some money too. So that's exactly what I did on this one. Let me get a little glue going. We'll pop this one down. Put this one in place, and I want to show you the sentiment that's with this set. It's just so cute and cheeky. It says, if love is blind, then why is lingerie so popular? Isn't that funny? All right, so let me add my flowers, and I've got a little bow here. I've tied a little bit out of natural jute, and I've added just a little bit of gold twine just to kind of dress it up a tiny bit, and we'll put that in place with a glue dot. And I'm going to pop this down in this corner where I folded this piece up, and I'm going to add some flowers, and let's just do glue dots on the back of these. Now this one has been cut out of the soft gold with the faux quilled blooms, and I've got the doubles that I've offset, and then I've added a pearl to the center there. So let's put that down about like that. And I've got kind of an oatmeal colored card that I've used on a couple of them, so we'll use that one down there too. Pop it into place, and we can kind of hide the knot from our bow there. And let's do a tiny one. Let me get a smaller glue dot for that one. And we can put one of those up here. In fact, let's just pop that right over that little corner, and we'll use one of the smaller ones down here. And you can arrange all your little tails from your twine down between the flowers there. Take a little time to do that if you like. But I just think that's such a pretty card. Look at how nicely that came out, and I'm sure that any gentleman, even with the flowers, would love to have a card with some lingerie on it.